Reb Risty here with Revolutionize Your Marketing, Your Business, Your Life. And I'm here today with Alicia Shapiro and with AI News. And super excited to talk to you, especially in the world of AI. You are on top of it. You are one of the leading, information sources that I have on my list. So I'm excited to hear what you want to tell our audience today. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about you and maybe if you could do a quick introduction of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, like you said, my name is Alicia Shapiro. I'm the CMO and Head of News Reporting at AInews.com, which basically means I do all of the daily work of our newsletter, social media posts. I keep up to date with our website. So a little bit of marketing, a little bit of news writing, all kinds of stuff. But that's the general gist of what I do. We also have, like I said, a daily newsletter. We have our own podcast, Driving Tomorrow, Conversations with Industry Leaders. And we interview leaders of AI businesses and just to find out what they're doing in AI and get a sense of how different businesses are integrating AI into their workflows. I come from a social media and marketing background originally. I also owned a social media agency for 12 years and helping businesses with their social media marketing, which was fun and everything. But I'm happy to pivot to AI a little bit because I always just like to stay on top of all the latest trends and news myself. So I figured I'd help distill down some of the maybe more complex subjects so that more people can understand what's going on and maybe take away some of the fear. But yeah, we've been in business now for about a little over a year. We started in October of 23 and we're just figuring out how to make this work and how to grow. And we're excited to be around.
Yes, it is exciting times. And, you and I have had the chance to talk and meet before. So I think it's interesting that you had the foresight to nab AI News
Yeah.
and that name to begin with, but to start it so long ago, I feel like a lot of people are now kind of getting on to AI and starting to play with it, but you really were kind of ahead of the game. Maybe tell us a little bit of like why you started AI News and what, a little bit further ahead than most people.
Well, actually, it kind of started back in 2018. My business partner is Michael Mazzata, and he actually bought the domain for $30,000 back in 2018. And he had the foresight of knowing that, hey, this artificial intelligence AI is coming down, it's going to be huge. And so he had it and he tried to do some things with it, but it never really took off. And then when I met him in 2022, I was originally helping him with his social media marketing for his commercial real estate company. And he's like, you know what? Are you interested in helping me launch AI News? And I was like, yes, I am. And we talked about that a little bit and what it could entail. And originally we just started with our newsletter and we were trying, like I said, to try to democratize and make AI more accessible to more people. And then it sort of is evolving. This year, we're looking to maybe sell an AI agent workflow app. We're not quite sure how that's going to turn out yet. We're working with a company in Sweden to do that so that we can help other news agencies or maybe even journalist students that are just graduating. They could start their own news company if they can't find a job, since a lot of people are not really hiring and AI is, integrating into all the different industries. So a lot of companies are even scaling back on their workforce. So it might be hard for journalists to find a job. So we're trying to also help those people out and be able to come up with their own news agencies and companies doing that. But we're also wanting to we've sort of started it right now. It's going to be launched maybe in another month or so. It's called the International Association of AI News. And we are hoping that journalists around the world, not just here in America, but around the world would maybe join who would like to signify that they're going to be an ethical, responsible AI news reporter. And so by joining our organization, they get a little badge, they get some best practices on how to use AI in the newsroom. And we're going to come up with like a LinkedIn group or people who've join the association can network and compare, what they're doing with other people from around the world, and we can learn from each other. So we're starting out as a newsletter and a podcast, but we have greater aspirations for helping others with their news dreams and aspirations. And we just want to make it so people can collaborate and just come together and learn from each other. So that's going to come later this year.
Yeah, oh, that's great. And I think especially journalism has changed a lot. Like we've seen just even, your nightly news referring to what's happening on Twitter or, well, X now, or Instagram. And it's been interesting and crazy all at the same time to watch how the news has developed. And I can only imagine being a young journalist in this world. You mentioned, there aren't a ton of maybe, or let's say I think businesses are changing the way they're hiring. COVID did that. Now with AI coming on board, I hear this a lot and I'd love to get your opinion. What are you telling people, whether they're journalists or not, when they say AI is going to take my job or AI is filling my job? What do you say to them?
Yeah, unfortunately, that with all major revolutions that our country has gone through, whether it's been, back in the day of steam engines going to, coal or, electric or whatever, and now we're getting into the internet, and the internet took away some of the printing jobs, but it also created other jobs. And I think that's what AI is doing. There will be some jobs that will be eliminated just because AI can automate a lot of those mundane tasks. But I'm telling people that, you need to start paying attention to AI, start looking into it, keep up with the news, keep up with what's happening in AI, and maybe get some certifications under your belt with that. Because if you are skilled in AI, you're better prepared to keep your job. You can tell your boss practical reasons of why they should keep you on. Well, I've got these AI skills now. I know how to use ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity. I can do so many more things. I can get more things done in the same time frame. So there will be some job losses, but I think there will be more jobs created in the same time. You just need to be prepared and get skilled and know how to use AI effectively in your job and your position, because I think that's the real idea. Like, the AI is not going to completely erase all humans. Humans are still needed for the creativity and, different directions to tell AI how to do things. So yeah, don't be too afraid, but definitely start getting prepared and start learning now so that you can have those skills to be able to use AI in your job.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great. And it is kind of a revolution of we go through the periods, right? Like you said, from the steam engine, from horses to steam engine to fossil fuels, internet, now we've got AI, social media was its own,
Yeah,
you
that was a
know,
big disruptor.
yeah, big disruptor. So I totally agree with you. And it's funny, I was just talking to somebody else about this. Where can somebody get certified? Where do you go to learn about AI?
A lot of these big companies, AWS, Google, Microsoft, they all have certifications. Oh, Nvidia has quite a few as well. They have certifications, they have courses. A lot of them are free. It's not like you have to go back to school and get $50,000 in debt. You can take these certification programs, excuse me, from these big companies that will at least get you started and down the path of, okay, I don't know if I'm technically able to do the machine learning data science part, but I do have this over here that could help with either filmmaking or writing or music creation. And you can learn how to incorporate AI into just about every aspect of what you want to do. So maybe take a look at these bigger companies that have these courses. And like I said, a lot of them are free. Some are maybe even $100 or $200, but a lot of them are free, and they're a great way just a great place to start and get an idea of what you're interested in and where you want to go. I think that's a great place to start. Oh, also, you might want to check out the AI Accelerator. It's a program, but a company at the same time. And they have some really neat webinars and hosts that they host events and things like that that really are practical for today's business world. And that might be another place to go and see what
Okay.
they have to offer.
Yeah, that's great. I have to admit, I haven't heard of any of those. Well, obviously Google and Nvidia, but I didn't realize that they were offering courses. So,
Mhm.
and I didn't know there was an AI accelerator. So those are really great tips. Before maybe even jumping into a class, what do you find is the best way or has been an easy, good way for people to kind of ease into learning the first steps in AI?
I think it is just getting your hands in trying out the different chatbots. So, you've got ChatGPT, you've got Gemini, you've got Claude, you've got Microsoft's Copilot, you've got Grok, Meta's Llama. There's a ton of choices to choose from. They all have specific features that might be more practical. If, like, Claude is really good at writing, it's good at storytelling. But ChatGPT is good with technical assessments or summarizing and general writing, like more coding and problem solving stuff. I haven't used some of the others, like I haven't used Grok or Llama or Gemini or Copilot that much, but I pretty much stick to Claude and ChatGPT because it can do everything I need it to do. But just try, they have free versions of all these chatbots. They're free. So go in and just try to prompt the chatbot and get it to do stuff. The best way is they always say do the who, what, when, why, and where when you go to prompt things. So when you're talking to these chatbots, it's like, you are an expert marketer who is needing to write social media posts for a construction business who is in San Diego, California. We want to be different. We want to stand out. Can you recommend some social media post topics that you can do? And it'll come back with reasons and ideas that maybe you haven't thought about. And then you're like, let's explore this. Ask it for more information and give it more information that you need. Okay, well, my business is construction. I have 5 employees. Our competitors are this and this and this, and just kind of feed it some more information to train it, so to speak,
Yeah.
on what your business is and what your mission is and what you want to accomplish and your goals, things like that. And it actually is designed to learn from you and adapt to what you tell it. So the more you use it, the more it's going to sound like you, the more it's going to provide resources and outputs that you're going to be happy with. So just try out one of these chatbots and talk to it and see what it can do for you. I think that's the biggest thing because I think that'll take away the fear. You're going to see right away what its limitations are and what it's good at. So it might take away some of that fear that AI is going to take over the world. Well, it's not there yet. So, and if you use it, you're going to find that out.
Yeah. No, I think that's really, it's true. It's really is, you kind of have to get in there and try it. It's like anything, try new food, try exercise, whatever it is, you got to try it to really know if you like it or not and how it works. Kind of going back to that idea of like, oh my gosh, AI is going to take over the world, a few weeks ago, and it still kind of is like the big talk was about the DeepSeek and maybe China and security issues and what's private, what's not private. Maybe could you talk a little bit about that? Like what we're hearing in the news and how do we decipher all of this?
Well, I'll start with the privacy. I don't even know where to start actually with that. But if you go into the first thing I would do is decide whether or not you're comfortable with the chatbots taking your conversations and learning from them. If you're not, you need to go to the settings and say, do not share my conversations for training purposes. Because by default, I think they're all on because these chatbots need more and more data to learn and adapt to how humans speak and think. So if you're comfortable with that, great. I'm fine with it. So I leave mine on. I'm like, yeah, I'm good with training, using my information to train on. If you're not, turn that off. But yeah, with DeepSeek specifically, it came from China. It has all these restrictions about you can't ask any political questions because it's pro communist and China policies, and it's just not going to
Mm,
give you any historical accuracy, any kind of accuracy with that at all. But the good news is Perplexity just announced yesterday that it's open sourcing. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit. Perplexity has taken DeepSeek's model
mm-hmm.
and they've refined it and
Okay.
fine-tuned it so that now all of that communist data, all of that restrictions, those have been removed. And there's still some
Interesting.
guardrails, like you're not allowed to ask how to build a bomb or do things
That's
like that.
good. Yeah. There's YouTube for that.
There's yeah, there's YouTube for that. But it's still going to this new perplexity model is going to show how powerful this DeepSeek is and how
Got it.
OpenAI it's comparable to OpenAI's O1 and O3 models.
And Alicia, could you just quickly explain for my audience, in case you don't know, what is perplexity?
Sure. So Perplexity is a chatbot just like ChatGPT, but it excels in research and search capabilities. So what it does is you can say, well, I use it a lot for verification of sources. So I ask Perplexity, I'm like, is this statement true? And it'll pull up a list of sources. It'll say, well, it's partly true, but it's needs more context. And here's some sources you can check out, to read. And it'll tell you exactly if it's real or not, or if somebody said a quote or not. And it'll say there's no evidence for it, or they'll say, oh, that is true, and here's the source. So it's a much better chatbot for searches and research and things like that. So I use Perplexity to do all my research and searches, and I go into ChatGPT to help me rewrite my articles. So I use a couple of different chatbots, but they've taken DeepSeek's model and refined it and made it more accessible to everybody, and they've open
Interesting.
sourced it. So what does that mean? They've made the code behind the scenes available so that anyone can take it now and use it in their local devices. And now if you take this refined model and you use it on your own computer and you train it the way you want it to, now you don't have to worry about your information being sent to China, your information even being sent to Perplexity or OpenAI. Your information is staying on your computer because you've taken that open source model, put it on your computer, and trained it with your business data. So no one's going to get it except for you. So that's what's really cool about open source stuff. Everybody
Yeah.
can use it and everybody can change it, but at the same time, it's cool because now you can keep your data private and your information
Okay.
private there.
Okay, good, good. And does it matter if you're in a paid account or a non-paid? Are you still able to keep your data private?
Yeah. Well, no, I will back up that. If you can download the open source model and put it onto your computer, yes, it won't matter anyway. Now, if you're just using the free version of ChatGPT or a paid version, I don't think the free version is going to protect your privacy and data. I think you have to have a paid account in order to go in there and change that setting. But you can change that setting to say, I don't want my data to be used in training purposes. And that's gonna it's not a foolproof way, but it's not as good as downloading the actual open source code on your computer. But it's for us non-technical people, that's pretty good. If you want to say, hey, I don't want my data, I don't want my conversations, because you can talk to these chatbots now. I don't want my
Right.
conversations shared with training models. So when you go and sign up for any of these accounts, double check that setting if you're concerned about that.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I think maybe just really quickly, and I get it. If you're just trying it out, you probably don't want to pay for it. It's free. You probably can get quite a bit out of the free, which I do think. But maybe give us a little bit of the argument of like why you would want to stay on free versus paid, or use paid versus free.
Yeah. The free versions of these chatbots, they typically have limits on how much you can talk to it. So whether that's typing and talking or talking to it. I know Claude especially has very low limits. I think you're only allowed 5 conversations. back and
Mhm.
forth, and that's it on the free plan. And then you have to wait like 12 hours before you can use it again. So the paid plans definitely give you more, it raises those limits. So I'm on a paid plan of ChatGPT. I pay $20 a month for the Plus program. And I've never, ever run into a limit. And I use it a lot for my daily news writing and talking to it and saying, I don't like how we did this. Can we do this? Can you look over this one last time? You know, I'm constantly going back and forth with it, and I've never experienced a limit yet. So the paid version definitely gives you a lot more capabilities. Also, a lot of times with paid versions, you're going to get access to new features quicker than the free versions are. So when ChatGPT was rolling out its advanced voice mode, the paid versions got the access before the free versions did. So
Right.
you can use it to show, like I use my phone and I literally just hold my phone up and I'm like, ChatGPT, can you see where my computer screen is and tell me what I did wrong? And it'll be like, oh, it looks like you're trying to do this. Here, you forgot this. And so it can see what you give it and it can tell you your mistakes. And this is especially good for like contracts or coding or, you know,
Okay,
things
okay.
like
Wait, wait,
that.
wait, 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 wait. I think are you actually holding up your phone and showing your
Yeah.
desktop, or you're
Yeah.
letting it? Oh my, I've not thought
I
about
don't have my
that.
phone here. But like,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
I literally push the advanced voice mode and then I tap the video icon and then I'll put my phone up to my laptop's screen and I'll say, ChatGPT, what am I doing wrong? And it'll
Right.
talk to me back and forth and it'll see what I'm doing and be able to help me troubleshoot things or whatever. But
Oh
I
my
couldn't have done
gosh.
that on the free version, you
Yeah,
know? So yeah,
yeah.
definitely the paid versions. And it's only $20. You know, you don't need the high end one.
No,
It's
no.
only
Stop being
$20
cheap,
a month.
people. Just pay for it.
Much better. You get so many cool things with the paid version, and there's hardly any limits. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's way
yeah.
better.
And it's month to month. So if you don't
It
use it,
is.
you just cancel it. Yeah, like
Exactly.
20
Yeah, you
bucks
can
worth
cancel
trying out, yeah,
anytime.
for a month. Well, so you obviously you're using tools. I love that you're using Chat and Claude. I use Chat and Claude the most. I've been playing with Gemini, but Gemini and I just don't seem to get along. Anyways, so kind of bring it back to the journalism topic and what you're doing at AI News. How are you how are you being a responsible journalist? How is AI News providing accurate and valuable information daily with this ever-changing environment?
The first thing, you know, you need to start out with is good sources. So I search for news, AI news that is maybe on the AP or Reuters or Bloomberg, and I take a look at those. Because ChatGPT can't always see the websites, sometimes they block it. So I copy the articles and I paste it into ChatGPT and I said, here's the article source I want to write. I want to come at it from this perspective. Please write my articles like a news report. And I tell it, I give it very specific guidelines. You know, we cannot have content duplication that's more than 20%. You cannot invent quotes or paraphrase quotes. If you're using quotes, you need to use the whole quote because ChatGPT
Yeah,
loves to paraphrase.
you know it.
It's so hard. So ChatGPT will write my article. I'll take it and I first put it into Copyscape, which is a plagiarism content duplication checker. And it'll
Okay,
tell me
good.
how much content is the same and whatever. And if it's too high, I'll say, ChatGPT, we need to redo this. But when you tell it that you needed to reduce your content duplication, it's going to paraphrase. So you need what I do is once we got the content duplication down, I take it and I compare it back to that original article source and I'll make sure that the quotes are still accurate and I'll double check that we've got all of the details and I just make sure that we're covering everything. And a lot of times even the original article doesn't have something that I come up with. Let me try to think of something today. I can't remember. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but
No.
I'll go and I'll ask ChatGPT, what about this? And it'll say, well, that wasn't in the original article, but that is a good question. And I was like, can you find reputable sources that would be able to add information to this? And it'll do a quick web search and it'll say, yep, here's a source from the Reuters about this and this and this or whatever. And then I'll say, let's incorporate it, but let's make sure we're addressing this question, because if I have the question, I'm sure other people are going to have questions. So sometimes I add to it that way. But I double and triple check it basically. So ChatGPT does write my articles, but then I check it against the plagiarism checker. I check it against the original source. I sometimes add to it and we refine the article back and forth as we go. It also writes my SEO titles and descriptions and creates an image for my articles, which is nice, except when it puts text overlay on the image, then it doesn't know how to spell suddenly. And
Yes, I've noticed that too.
and then I have to go into Canva. Canva has some AI tools that will uses AI to grab the text off of it and then lets me be able to edit the text accurately. So I do that. So it's a lot, it's not like I can't just copy and paste the article that ChatGPT gives me, because one, it wouldn't all have all the facts. Two, it might invent things or be, paraphrased in a way that you just are not allowed to have. And so having me double and triple check things, and using reputable sources, that's really how we stay ahead of the responsible reporting. And then I also make sure that we try not to sensationalize the news. So a lot of times these other news companies, they'll come up with a clickbait title that'll just get you to click. And then it either doesn't give you the information you were looking for, or it's just tabloidy. So I also tell ChatGPT, we got to be professional here. We're not here to get clicks, even though we are. We can't write that way, because I don't like to see articles that way, so I don't write articles that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you still need, journalism integrity. You still need, to hold yourselves to those ethics, because yeah, it's so easy just to say, well, I'm going to write this headline that's going to give me all these clicks because I need to show my boss that we're getting clicks. And it just doesn't pay out in the end. You got to do things the right way. It's harder and it's not as fast growth. But if you do things the right way, you're going to build that trust with your audience. And that's what's important. So if you want to be seen as a trusted journalist.
Yeah. No, I know. I love that. And I think, um, well, you told me, if I can share, you're still spending 3 to 4 hours a day. And that saved you, though it was taking you how many hours if you weren't using
Oh my
all
gosh,
the
if
AI
I
tools?
had to rewrite all these articles every single day, it would probably take me all day. And then it wouldn't even be timely breaking news or whatever. So to say that, even though it still takes me about 3 to 4 hours every day to write our news articles, it's better than taking all day and not getting out the news in a timely fashion. So, you do have to keep that in mind. But even though you're putting manual work into checking things and making sure that data is correct and the facts are correct and you're not biased, and you're trying to present both sides, but in a more of a news way, not a bias way, that it takes a little bit of time, but it's still, so much more efficient. And I'm able to do more than I would have been if I hadn't used it.
Great, great. I love that. I love that. Well, Alicia, I just thank you so much for your time. I know you're really
Yeah.
busy and you probably need to get some rest so you can go write your next set of articles for tomorrow. If somebody wants to learn more about AI news, get on the news daily newsletter, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. So you could just go to our website, ainews.com. We have a big subscription box at the top. You can subscribe to our daily newsletter. It is daily, just to let you know. We have a monthly newsletter, but it's a little, I don't know why, but it's more challenging to join. So if you're interested in the monthly newsletter, just shoot me an email. My email is Alicia, ALI.ainews.com. And I'll get you the link for the monthly newsletter, because I know sometimes you're inundated with so much news and other industries in your own business that you're trying to keep up with. So if the daily news is too much, we have a monthly newsletter as well that just distills down what business leaders would need to know about AI and different things. Whereas our daily newsletter is maybe a little more technical for AI and tech people. But I also, just to let you know, if you do want the daily newsletter, because there's so much news that is coming down every single day, you're not going to be overwhelmed. I don't write in a technical way. So even if something, because I do post a lot about the different AI research that is coming out and it's very technical, but I don't write it in a technical manner. So you're going to be able to understand it. I just want you to let people know that it's a daily newsletter, but it's not technical. It's
Yeah.
just you get a lot more in the daily newsletter.
Yes, and I can attest to that because I'm not a technical person, and so I
Yeah.
do get the daily newsletter, and it is helpful. I don't read it every day, but I do scan the headlines, and I know the time you take to put into it. So I know if there is something interesting, I do get to click in. I can read it, and you're right. It is nice because it is technical. There's a lot happening in this world. And for me and marketing and business, I need to keep things a little more simple, but it is helpful. So I appreciate the newsletter.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, great. And then just, I know you've given us the website, your email. Is there, if someone did want to reach out and talk to you, is your email the best way, or do you prefer LinkedIn? How should someone
Yeah,
connect?
email or LinkedIn is good. I am on LinkedIn. It's just Alicia Shapiro. Um, yeah, LinkedIn is great. I'm on LinkedIn a lot in the afternoons, especially. So I always make sure I check it every day and respond to messages. So definitely reach out and connect with me. I'd love to connect with people as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, Alicia. And for all of you out there listening, revolutionize. We are actually going on through our own revolution of moving into more AI content, more specialists and experts like Alicia coming on the show. And we're just helping, ourselves figure it out. So we want to help other marketers as well and other business owners. Keep tuning in. There's lots of good stuff coming and look forward to having everyone at the next show.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having
Right?
me on. I appreciate it.
Of course.